See the moonlights on the town. Whoa, I'm getting ready. Talawa TV is in the town. Whoa, I'm getting ready. Got a corner on the telephone. Yeah, this is the Ocean of the Messenger, and you're watching Talawa TV with the host and best. So Davis, take it away.
My followers, good morning is definitely a good morning if you are based in London, just like myself. It is currently 3:31 here in London, so quite early. I did promise you guys that I would give you a preview of today's game. Today I'm saying today's Wednesday. The game against Honduras kicks off at 2:05 on Thursday morning. So it's not exactly match day for us yet, but if you're based in Jamaica and possibly Canada, you're steadily approaching match day, just like myself. And I did promise that I would give you guys a preview of this game, so I tried to stick to my promise. And matter of fact, I've stuck to my promise. I know if you are a supporter of Coach's Desk and Ryan LFC, you would have seen me earlier on over on their platform previewing the same very match. So I'm going to do over on my platform is I'm not going to make it too repetitive for you guys because that would be boring. Don't want to repeat what was said on Ryan's channel or on Coach's Desk. So the big game coming up, the final match in our World Cup qualifiers to conclude our World Cup qualifiers. By now, you should know that we are not going to Qatar. We haven't been able, or we weren't able to secure a ticket to Qatar. So these last few games, starting off against El Salvador, moving on to Canada, and then subsequently at home against Honduras. These are the building blocks for the future. So there's still some stuff there to play for in terms of pride, and also giving your supporters, the guys at the office. I'm sure they'll show up in some numbers tomorrow. At least I'm hoping that they'll show up in some numbers. Guys across the diaspora, like myself, based here in London, guys in Canada and the United States will be watching from a distance and hoping that the Reggae Boys can chalk off their World Cup qualifying campaign on a high. Let me know how you guys are doing in the comments section. So, does Mr. Paul Hall have the formula to get a World Cup win on home soil? I have no idea if he does, but I do have some sort of formula with me today, this bright early Monday morning. And if I say formula, you know exactly who I'm speaking about. It is none other than Mr. Formula Sports. How you doing, sir?
Crystal, I forgot to start calling the introduction boss, Crystal. You always have some good introductions. I'm good. A pleasure as always to be here, man. Pleasure.
Always love having you on my channel. I'll take that, by the way, the introduction, boss. I like to make people feel special because when you come over here, it's always something special. So I try to, let the introduction fit the person. So I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, man. Good introduction. You always make your guests feel like stars. You
You
always
guys
feel like
are though.
stars,
I don't bring on average people. So I'm pretty sure anyone that I've brought on, they've always been right up there on the food chain. So my people them are extremely special.
Cool.
So I know we have been talking about this World Cup qualifiers for some time now. Safe to say, finally, and I probably whisper that softly, finally, the journey is coming to an end. The quest ended. Probably some can say this, the quest, our World Cup quest, never truly got underway, but it definitely came to an end last World Cup qualifying window, which would have been a month away now. We're in March, aren't we? So it would have been in the previous month coming into this
Almost in
current
April.
Yeah,
Almost.
we're almost in April. I can't believe it. So I had to check my mom's just then. Almost in April. So yes, our quest to qualify for Qatar, that's completely gone out the window. But as I said previously, now is when we begin to lay down the foundation. Now is when we get those building blocks in order. I definitely have to ask you, Mr. Formula, how you feeling about tomorrow?
I'm feeling optimistic. Yes, the last game was really and truly an international embarrassment and absolute disgrace, but I am feeling optimistic based on the performance against El Salvador. I think once all the top players like the Greys and the Lions are back in the fold, and also us playing against a weaker opposition in Honduras at home. I think we can put in another decent showing than like what we have shown in the El Salvador and the Costa Rica game. So I'm quite optimistic. And I think we'll put up a good show. I just want to win. Like we want a win. We want a win. Although you know what naysayers are going to say, even though we win this game, Crystal, if we win it, they're gonna say that oh, a Honduras alone we have strength for the team at the foot of the table because the two victories that we get are Honduras home and Honduras away. So it don't really matter, yeah, man. I just want another victory, man.
You're absolutely, absolutely. There's always going to be some naysayers. You can't please everyone, though. But I want to backtrack quickly there because you said international embarrassment. Are you speaking solely from an emotional point of view? Is that how you truly feel? And more so, is that looking back as at the whole entire World Cup qualification, or are you just speaking about the last recent string of fixtures?
Now I'm talking about some of the rhetoric that I have seen on some international platforms. Remember, this is the game that qualified Canada, This is the game that qualified Canada to the Qatar World Cup. Now, Canada is a big country, and because they haven't been there in so long, if I'm not mistaken, over 30 years, probably nearly
From
40 years.
1986.
Yeah, so that's 30 what, 6 years?
Yeah, they've
Going
gone over.
nearly
It's close. It's isn't it
close to
like
40.
four decades, right?
Yeah, nearly 4 decades.
Yeah.
So there has been a lot of international press surrounding Canada's historic qualification to Qatar. And I mean, obviously, you can't talk about Canada qualifying in the game was a Sunday evening and in Sunday evening's game and not talk about the walloping that they would have put on the Jamaica national team. No, the proper context is never really given. They never really say, oh, this is a weekend Jamaican team or, not many, like a lot of absentees or stuff like that. Them always are going to say, Canada qualified for the World Cup and did so with a walloping of the Jamaica Reggae Boys. So that's why I say international embarrassment.
It's interesting there because you're right, especially when it comes to the media and the commentators as well. They don't usually add context. Usually, if they are streaming mainly for supporters within their own country, so if you're based in Canada, then obviously the media would have favoritism towards Canada because that is their country. So they're not obliged to go and add context. But from a professional standpoint, it would make perfect sense to create a balanced argument or a balanced viewpoint and, like you said, lay it all out on the cards and say, look, this is not Jamaica's strongest side. But I think even us looking from the 12-man section, I think we could say that even with a fully strengthened Jamaican side, that probably the results in terms of Canada would have been the same, or if not, they would have most the result in the sense of Canada qualifying for the World Cup, because all they needed from that game on Sunday was a draw or a win. In the reverse fixture, they actually managed to walk away with a point on Jamaican home soil. So I think it would have been more of the same if we had a fully strengthened side.
I mean, we would lose for sure, and well, I shouldn't say for sure, but more than likely we would lose, and it was always going to be a very difficult game given the manner of opposition, the way how the team is flying,
Mm-hmm.
the Canadian team, and also the fact that it's in Toronto, and
Mm-hmm.
you know the conditions. Even when I looked at even the bench, even the Canadian players were shivering. You know, the conditions. When you see even the Canadian shivering, you know, say tough. But I think that it would have been because really and truly, you know, Crystal, that really should have been about 8 or 9 nil, you know. If we're gonna be
Really?
really honest with ourselves, you know. Of course,
Really?
Canada dash us it like crazy, Crystal. Canada could have wall up with like 8 or 9. Girl, Canada, let me tell you, it got to the point, in my humble opinion, Crystal. Sorry, it
It's
got to the
okay.
point where it got so easy for them that it felt as if they were playing around, and as if they weren't really, you know, when you get carried away and you kind of get complacent. I think that's the vibe it got to me after a while. Like they were playing around, having a lot of fun. This is too easy and just getting complacent and missing some real sitters, Crystal. Lauren and David missed some sitters, Crystal. Some sitters. This could have easily have been 8 or 9. Easily.
You know what? Maybe it's an interesting one there because what you're saying is quite different to what the gaffer have said in his post-match conference and possibly in his press conference leading up to the Honduras game. He probably sit on opposite side of the fence there, Formula, with regards to the scoreline. For me, I've pretty much detached my emotions from the men's side, so I don't tend to get all like rattled up. I don't tend to get right a little bit, there you say, startled compared to so many other section of our fan base, because for me it's just, it is what it is. I understand what we're working with, so perhaps I see the game from a slightly different angle from yourself, but you're talking almost double figures there, Formula.
Of course, look, Paul Hall is trying to use PR, right? That is what Paul Hall is trying to do. PR, right? And also trying to, you know, I guess let the boys feel a little bit better about the performance. But that could have we could have easily have been down 6-7 nil at halftime. Easily. Honestly, man. Easily. Easily. Seriously.
I want to touch on something that we've touched on. By the way, big up the guys in the comments section, coaches desk. Let me go from the bottom of the list. Coaches desk, Donovan, Blair, Jamaican Guna, Travis. Let's scroll up. Don't want to forget my manners, Mr. Bolton, Ukel, I hope I pronounced your name right. And of course, the fresh guy, the boss himself. Big up all the guys in the comment section and the ones who are a little bit too shy to drop a comment. I promise I don't bite, and neither does Formula. So you can speak to us. You're safe, don't worry. Let's go back a little bit, Formula, and I'm talking about all the games leading up to our last match, our last two games, El Salvador and also Canada as well. What do you put our slow start down to?
Canada, you mean in terms of the earlier games in the qualifiers?
In terms of how we attack the opponents.
Oh, you mean in the last two games?
Yeah,
Um, I don't.
particularly let's just so I guess like I said, it's for me it's been something that we needed to work on if we look back on the previous fixtures in the qualifiers.
Yeah, no, I mean our attack though, Crystal, overall, right? Our attack and our attacking transition in this entire campaign, barring the last like two out of the last three games, Right, our attack and attacking transition has been almost non-existent for large portions of the qualifiers. So, like we have started games slowly, right? During the games, it has been going slowly. When the game end, it still a go slowly. Like the whole, like for the most part, the campaign has been abysmal, man. I mean, it's a number of issues. I mean, I don't even know. You say you want the live, you're not too long. I mean, if we really and truly are gonna flesh this thing up, man, it's
Or at
gonna be
least
an
give me maybe
extended.
say two reasons why you think that we've started off slowly. Is there, I mean, is there a psychological aspect there? Is it to do with morals? Those are further things that I can think of off the top of my head.
Um, I would say, you know, oh, what would I say? Poor coaching that would have resulted in clueless players, and that's probably the main thing that comes to mind. I don't know if I can find anything else right now off the top of my head. I think that's
Oh,
the main issue because you see when you see Paul Hall in terms of how he has put together, the team in the last couple of games, it clearly has there clearly has been a difference compared to what we're seeing previously. So I would say poor coaching is probably the main thing I'd probably say.
yeah, yeah, you might be onto something there. I see the guys in the comment section asking guys, I'm telling you, this is the only time that I can actually do this preview, the only time that's feasible. It's almost 3:45 in the morning, and tomorrow is going to be just as difficult because the game against Honduras kicks off at 2:05 in the morning. So I'm pretty much doing exactly what I'll be doing tomorrow. um but I should get a good rest
Guys,
of.
we not rate Crystal commitment to this thing, man. Right now, right now about nearly 4 o'clock in the morning over in the UK, man. And a joke thing that man. Like Crystal should be waking up at this time, not going to bed.
He's onto something. Yeah, he's definitely onto something as well. But yeah, going back to what we were saying there, formula in terms of how we start the game, because that's how I usually make my judgment call on how the game is going. I usually look at the first quarter of an hour and I can kind of say, okay, this is how the game's going to pan out. But over the last string of fixtures, like I've said, where the qualifiers are concerned, there's a pattern there. Again, I don't know if that comes down to self-belief. I don't know if that comes down to morale. I don't know if that comes down to culture, but we can clearly see that there's a slight shift there, with regards to how the players are treating the games, especially when we look at how we handled that match against El Salvador on home soil.
Yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure. There has been a difference. And we have seen an increase in intensity from the boys. We have seen more desire, more purposefulness, if that's a word. No, no, I just invent a word a while ago, but yeah, we have seen more desire and more purpose and more intent, in terms of actually going out on the pitch and knowing what to do from the get-go.
Mm-hmm.
So we have seen a bit more of that in recent times, to be fair. To be fair.
I'm laughing because the guys in the comment section, they've never been this active before. They're taking to them. I'm definitely catching them at the corner of my eyes. Coach's desk, I'm going to take a picture of this and I'm going to frame it, sir. Okay, I'm gonna hold you to your words.
Yeah, so I'm not conveniently forget.
Exactly. And he's Mr. Manchester United, so it's easy for them to forget things these days. But I'm not gonna pull him. I'm not gonna draw him out too much. So
You
I'm
only
trying to.
can troll on one another, Esteban. Jesus.
I told you we're football cousins, so he likes to poke fun at me, and I like to do the same back to him. So I'm not going to go and shy away from that. But just going back to the game. against Honduras tomorrow. Again, let me give you guys a gentle reminder. If you are based in the UK, this game kicks off on Thursday morning, 2:05 in the morning. Let me repeat that, 2:05 in the morning tomorrow, on home soil against Honduras. That will be our final fixture, final game in our World Cup qualifiers. If you're new, I should say, if you're new to Jamaican football, do not get your hopes up with that match, because we haven't qualified for the World Cup, and we don't stand a chance at this point in qualifying. So sit back, put your feet up, relax, enjoy the game, and enjoy our building process, because this is what this game is all about. It's all about rebuilding and laying down the foundation. But going back to looking at tomorrow's game, as I was saying, formula there, what pedigree is needed to turn around our misfortune?
For tomorrow's game, what pedigree?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, just continuing on the upward trend that we have seen in the two of the last three games that we have played. Hopefully Paul Hall. Me personally, I'm a little bit critical of what Paul Hall would have done in the last particular game. I think that he could have been a little bit more pragmatic in his approach, because I don't think his philosophy was best suited to what was about to take place. I think his philosophy almost got us 9 or 10, right? If not for luck. So I mean, but this is a different caliber of team that we're going up against a team that is very, I should imagine, low on morale, because I mean they have had, I mean, I think we have had a bad campaign. They have won a pretty similarly poor campaign as well. I think the only thing why their campaign would have been better than ours was because at least they put in. I've seen some games with Honduras and they put in some decent performances, even though they might have lost those games. I remember the very first game in the qualifiers. If memory serves me right, it was Honduras against the USA, and USA won the match. But even the first half, Honduras was the better team, right? And they have had issues putting away chances as well. But you know, I think that once Paul Hall approaches the game the right way and the likes of a Leon Bailey and Ravel Morrison can link up as well as they did in the last game, and Andre Gray can put in his usual steady performance for the team, I think that should be enough to get us across the line. We have to also, the real pedigree that is needed is that in two of the last three games, we could have won those games and we missed some really, really easy chances. So I think we definitely need to improve where that is concerned for sure.
Can you see us pulling off a clean sheet? I think the last clean sheet was coincidentally against Honduras. So we've had two clean sheets, haven't we? Honduras and Canada as well. What I can do is see if I can hit this shared screen. It's been misbehaving over the last couple of days, so let's see if it's on its, yes, on a good behavior. I think Formula bought me lock. It knows that the man is around, so he has to behave. Can go ahead and look at our previous fixtures. You can see that, right, Formula? Perfect. So guys, here we go. Here. This was both of the clean sheets coincidentally came in October. So there you go. You can see 0-0 on home soil against Canada. Subsequently, we moved on to Honduras, tomorrow's opponent, and we beat them 2-0 again in the October window. From there, we haven't kept a clean sheet. Goals flying left, right, and center. It's just that it's not benefited us. And here's how we look in the March window: 1-1 on home soil against El Salvador, subsequently losing 4-0 against Canada. This gifted them their ticket to the World Cup. This is how tomorrow's game is looking. Again, if you're based in the UK, tomorrow's game kicks off 2:05 in the morning. I believe the time spring forward last Sunday. So I think now I am 6 hours ahead of Jamaica. So you do the maths if you're based elsewhere in the world. Um Could you hear me there, Formula? Perfect. So let me go and look at this table because this table could make interesting reading for those of you who don't want to finish seventh, can't finish any lower than seventh. You can see Honduras there on their points. They're currently on fourth point. So this should send you to your bed feeling a little bit better. There is someone else in the group table that's worse than us. So hopefully that gives you some sort of comfort. Tomorrow, perhaps you could maybe push towards the sixth place or sixth place finish. You can see El Salvador there, our previous opponents at the start of this month's window. They are on 10 points at the moment, 2 points better than us. And they are playing their last game against one of our favorite teams to play against, Mexico. So that game kicks off at the same time.
That's
They
a joke, right, Crystal? It's a
are.
joke. That must be a joke.
I'm glad you
I
caught
think they're
on.
playing them at the Azteca as well.
Yeah, so
So that should be a rough game for them. At this
yeah,
point in time, though, Crystal, it's just about aesthetics, and making the table, making our position in the table look a little bit more respectable, So
exactly.
hopefully we can get to double digit in points tally, and hopefully we can get to the sixth place position so we can have two teams below us rather than one.
I like how that sound because I would much prefer to like you said, have two teams below us than one. I'm hoping that our friends over there in Mexico can go out there and handle business and give us a little bit of a cushion so that we can just about climb up that table. I think that would be good for the morale, morale building of the team as well. I want to ask you something, Formula. Touching on the morale, I think it's so obvious. I feel like me and you have touched on the morale of this team before, be it on our live stream or off the live stream when we're talking in just in the studio or private chat. I feel like we've spoken about the morale before. Why is it taking so long for, say, a coach? And I'm saying a coach because previously I don't think I heard it from the previous gaffer being Tapa. Why is it taking until, call it, the eve or 2 days before the last game in our World Cup qualifiers for us to be hearing about the importance of morale building? Is that something that they've just picked up on, or is it something else?
I mean, it makes sense though, because I mean the morale would hit rock bottom when the team's campaign has ended, or when the mathematical chance of us qualifying would have been non-existent. So that the moment the realization takes place that the campaign is really done, like there's no chance of going to the World Cup. I think, me personally, common sense tells me that that's when the morale would really hit rock bottom. But I think the vibe that I got was that, okay, things are not going so well right throughout the qualifiers. Things are not going so well, but we can turn it around. We
Mm-hmm.
can turn it around. See, we can get to winning ways. We can turn this around. We can do this. We can get to Qatar, right? So that's the vibe I always got right to the qualifiers from the team. It's almost as if they were trying to motivate themselves to say, and I think it's some kind of false sense of hope, so to speak. False sense of optimism that really and truly we're good enough to turn this around. So I think the morale would really have hit rock bottom when the whole thing would have basically the whole campaign was basically over. So yeah,
I'm glad. I'm
content,
glad that, yeah. Go on, Formula.
Qatar motivate.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that coaches just brought it up because I saw it and I'm
Oh my
thinking
god.
it just goes to show you're not very analytical are you, even for the basics? Social media, there should be, yes, the person who is doing it's probably just copy and pasting previous
That's what I was
hashtag.
going to say.
It's
Not
so
do them
easy to
so
make
bad,
a
man.
mistake, but you're telling
Not
me
do
that
them
there's
so bad, man.
literally, because sometimes I do it. So if I'm talking about the reggae girls, I'll copy and paste the same hashtags because it
Mhm.
relates. So
Yeah.
easy mistake to make. But you're
So
telling me that
in addition to incompetence, we can now add delusional. So the JFF is now not only incompetent but also delusional.
Qatar motivated. I'm just like, is there
Uh,
nobody in house that spotted that? You're telling me us in the 12 man can spot it. Nobody in house can say remove Qatar motivated. You're doing it loud and proud. It's like the campaign finished many moons ago. Let's just part that up to one side and maybe say 2026 motivated. Although probably now is not the right time for them to test that because they'll be literally eaten alive. So they can't toy with that hashtag just yet. Motivated to stay at home, says Hot Chili. Again, looking at the Honduras game, this is a Honduras, Jamaica versus Honduras World Cup qualifier match preview. For those of you who are just tuning in, I have to ask you, Formula, with regards to this particular match, where will it be won or potentially lost?
I think that you know what I really think. I think we would have a better performance against them from an attacking standpoint, right? I think that if they yes, they have in the run of play in games that I've seen with Honduras, they have been competitive, but I don't think they have been the most organized at the back from what I've seen, or the most organized in defense from what I've seen. So if we could score 2 goals against them, the last time we played them, and I mean we couldn't score a goal against anybody to save our lives. I think that this time around, especially with the improved performances in attack, I think that we'll be able to, create some clear cut chances that we can put away. And I
Hmm.
also think that, Honduras has really and truly not put away chances that they have gotten in games. And I think that, you know, that could be a positive for us as well, in terms of even if they do create those chances, they might not be able to slap them home. So I think that could be where the game is potentially one for us. More if Honduras continues that trend, then might be a bit problematic for them, but great for us.
Yes, an interesting one. Honduras, I think it will be an interesting game. For those of you who are wondering how Honduras are looking in terms of results wise, what I'll do is I'll pop back on my shared screen and we can go over and look at their last couple of results. I think the ones that really stands out is fair for us to just maybe come focus on the, let's say, the last four games. As ever, as expected. Against Canada, they lost 2-0. Against El Salvador, they lost 2-0. Against the USA, they lost 3-0. Drew against Panama, that was 1-all. And then they lost, I guess you can call this one a narrow defeat against Mexico, only lost that one 1-0. I trust that, judging by the way things are in the table, um, and also based off their last couple of results. I think they'll be going into this one wanting to chalk off their World Cup qualifiers as well on a high and perhaps squeeze out a draw.
Yeah, for sure. They would definitely be coming into this one. Yeah, I need to mute when I'm not. Let me see if I probably it's because I have my charger plugged in. It does tend to have a weird sound when I plug in that thing. But yeah, um, what was I saying again?
The potential of Honduras also wanting to
Yes,
chalk off.
yes. Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. Honduras is what gonna want to try and I mean common sense will tell us that Honduras will want to try and well that's the thing though, you know. They can't even get off the foot of the table. So they are rooted to the foot of the table. At least I think what might motivate them is not wanting to be the only team to finish the round without a win. Because they're the only team in the qualifier so far that has not won a game. So I think that will definitely motivate them to want to finish on a high and finish strong, and also not be the only team in the and then it would be what would be even worse too. El Salvador is already on double figures. If we were to win this game, we would go into double figures on 11 points, and they would just have a measly 4 points. They'll be the only team in single digits as well. At this point in time, it's really and truly just aesthetics of the table, making the table look a little bit more respectable for both teams than it already does. It's really and truly a bottom of the table clash. Really and truly, in every sense of the word, a bottom of the table clash. But yeah, Honduras should be try and close out a dismal qualifying campaign and a high as well. One that they themselves would have been coming into the tournament with a bit of optimism.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Definitely. How pleased are you so far with what Paul Hall has done?
I have been, for the most part, I think he has done okay. A lot. Um, I am very optimistic about Paul Hall and his ability to really turn around our football. I really and truly like what I'm hearing from him in terms of when the statements that he makes, which alludes to his thinking that he really and truly wants to have an impact on our football in general, not just the national team, but just our entire footballing structure on a whole. So yeah, I think it's gonna be hard to get another coach in that is gonna be inclined to put in work into helping to overall or restructure our football, so to speak. Right? Because a lot of these coaches they don't really have the emotional attachment that a Paul would have, given the fact that he's a UK born Jamaican, and he previously played for the national team and has parentage that is born in Jamaica for sure. So he has that emotional attachment, and I think it really and truly inspires him to really and truly want to have a massive effect on Jamaica's football. I think he realizes that the program has a lot of potential. I don't think another I don't think a coach from another, foreign born coach would be more inclined to or would be, you know, encouraged or inspired or, would want to do that. And also I don't think a local born coach would have the expertise to do something like that. So I'm optimistic about Paul. Don't get me wrong, he has done some things that I don't agree with everything that he has done. And I will say that when I disagree with something, and I said it before the game, I really and truly hope Paul Hall does not try to go out there at Beamer Field in the cold and play expansive football against this Canada team with this Jamaica team. And he went out there and he did it. And in the end, we were lucky to get 4. We could have really and truly made headlines in a really embarrassing way,
Mm.
So I will criticize that. Thought he could have been more pragmatic, and there have been other little things that he has done wrong that are I shouldn't say wrong, but in my opinion should have been done differently. But yeah, I'm optimistic about Al for sure.
I think with Paul Hall, the situation that he finds himself in at the moment is that given the squad depth or lack thereof, he probably doesn't have the leg to experiment. So he doesn't have the leg to put a tailor design squad. out against the likes of a, say for example, a Canada, another tailor design squad against the likes of Mexico or USA. I use those guys as the example because they are the bigger countries. The league table speaks for itself. So he's probably having to just work with the same formula, same strategy, because perhaps he doesn't have those type of players that he can execute a different plan with.
I honestly think that the plan that he wanted to execute, he did not have the players to execute it at
Yeah,
all.
yeah,
He
yeah.
did not have the play. Yo,
Because a lot
Crystal,
of that comes with discipline, doesn't it? I mean, I'm not trying to scapegoat the young players. God bless them. I think they did put in a fair shift, but there were a few times that you saw a decision that was made, and you're thinking to yourself, it's literally putting it down to age because you're young, you're inexperienced. Then again, in the same breath, I've seen.
by sorry to cut you, Crystal, but Bygrave is young and inexperienced.
I
He's
mean, I
inexperienced,
never
but
named
he's
no one,
young. Bygrave is like 28, 29.
I didn't call no names. I
So
didn't
me
call.
ga call him. Me ga call. When Mr. Man a control ball, Crystal and ball a go over him head. And I don't know, intentionally flick him a try flick ball overhead. Him
You know,
control
it's
just touch and ball just him have to use a second touch with him head for try bring it back down. Yo, your name have to get called at that point in
Do you know
time.
what's funny? We're literally not, honestly speaking, we're thinking of two entirely different players. I'm thinking more centre back without scapegoating anyone. Few errors there, but you do literally put that down to age and experience, and again, not trying to scapegoat the player. In the same breath, I've seen players who are perhaps close to tripling his age or doubling his age make silly mistakes, schoolboy errors. So the age things probably we can't use it as an argument, given that we have so many problems within the team with regards to schoolboy errors. So I think if we had a team that you could see that there was a intense amount of squad depth and he could do a healthy rotation, maybe then we could see his true capabilities as a coach.
Yeah, for sure. I think that Paul Hall, is able to really and truly scan the landscape, so to speak, to see all of the players that is available to him. Because I wouldn't be surprised if there are a number of, I wouldn't be surprised if there are players that we are advocating for to be in our national team that Paul Hall has never even heard of.
Mm,
I would not be surprised if Paul Hall to this day has never heard about Joey Desert.
mm.
I would not be surprised. Like, me really wouldn't be surprised. Seeing, because I really and truly don't. I mean, even a player like Desert, I wouldn't even be surprised if many of even his assistants, you know, even if they've probably heard about him, but have they really taken a serious look at this player? To see how good he is, what he can do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so Paul Hall has much to learn for sure in terms of just the respective players that I still think he's in the phase of people are telling him about such and such man. Or there's a player here, he's a good player. You should look at him, bring him into the squad. Or there's a player there, I still don't get the vibe that he has watched a Kahim Paris play. I wouldn't be surprised if he has never heard about a Joey Desert.
And
You know,
this is why we're saying that. I'm sorry to cut you there, Formula. This is why we were saying on Ryan's channel that we do believe that for reason as such that it has to be a full-time job, and that pretty much basically means that he has to, unfortunately for him, perhaps walk away from his job at Queen's Park Rangers, just so that he can fully take control of whatever it is he's trying to achieve. He said, he's using words such as succession plan. What does that succession plan look like to him? I'm sure he's probably mapped it out already. How does he deliver his succession plan? Surely that just means you need to have all hands on decks. There shouldn't. I don't think he can execute that succession plan if he has one hand here where Jamaica is concerned and the other hand where Queen's Park Rangers is concerned, and that's not me saying he can't multitask. I'm sure he can. It's just that it's two roles that requires full attention, attention to detail, and also you being able to manage your priorities as a matter of urgency and so on.
Yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure, for sure.
Since since
It's
since
very
we
important he goes full time, in my humble
since we touched on morale, I think it would be rude of me not to ask because obviously the gaffer said, that's something that they're working on. So there's an indication there that there was a problem. If we're talking about the players that are now at the building block stage, the foundation, so the players who are currently there in camp at present, what do you do about the players who declined the call up? Because inevitably, when you do call them up, it's inevitable that there's going to be another shake where the morale is concerned, whether it gets knocked or whether it gets dropped altogether. It's inevitable that people are going to be finding themselves in uncomfortable position.
Paul Hall has a real uphill task on his hand because he has really stepped into a national team that is really and truly all over the place, right? Our entire football in this country, nobody's on the same page. Nobody's on the same page. The whole thing is all over the damn place, right? So, I will pray for him, you know, hopefully. Because let me tell you something. Hopefully he can get it together because to be able to navigate these waters, for Paul Hall to be able to navigate these waters that he has currently found himself in, boy, I'm of a skill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm of a skill. I'm of a skill for move through them waters and, you know, remain unscathed. Seeing, like, seriously, man, it is a real uphill task that he has to face. Me personally, I don't really like the general sentiment is gonna be that these players are not committed, right? I mean, Paul Hall himself, basically said it and questioned their commitment. Me personally, do I look at it a little bit differently. Honestly, I know people might probably get battled in the comment section for saying this, but what the um I think it was a bit unreasonable of us to expect of these players to come for this particular round. I've said it before on my channel. I personally think it's a little bit unreasonable given the circumstances in our program right now and where we find ourselves in, given the circumstances at their respective clubs, right? And, you know, them being caught in the middle of both those respective scenarios. Me personally, I wouldn't hold it against them, for whoever these players are for declining the call up. But I understand people who see it differently, and I understand that a lot of people do see it differently, and I don't blame them for seeing it differently. And I think that because they do see it differently, it's going to make integration of those players back into the national program a very slippery slope. How he manages it could really and truly, if not handled properly, be very divisive. I really I struggle to see how he's really going to handle it smoothly, to be honest with you. So I don't know what he's going to do, but I wish him all the best. I'll pray for him.
It's an interesting one because I definitely get where you're coming from. I don't think there is a right or wrong answer for this particular scenario that we find ourselves in because I understand why the players or the club might push back on the idea, especially if you have a Mikel Antonio. He's in the I think it's the quarterfinals with West Ham in the Europa League. You have AFC Bournemouth and Jamal Lowe chasing a automatic finish or
Yeah,
a playoff spot in the in the championship, so they can say
Ravel, Ravel
exactly.
fighting relegation with Derby is a
But
lot.
that's the point that I'm trying to make is when you look at those two players in particular, and there's stuff there going on with Brentford and and Ethan Pinnock. When you look at the fact that Michael Antonio and Jamal Lowe's essentially said no, but then you have somebody like you said, like Ravel Morrison, who's fighting relegation. He's equally as important to his club as those two, equally as important. So that's why I say
Yeah,
there
but
is
but
no right and wrong answers, but just know for me, you've made a decision by like that, and now you're put in a position where you have to stand by your
mm,
decision because your teammates are probably not best pleased to want to see you at the next camp.
I mean, you see the thing about this, Crystal, it's very subjective because who knows how Derby feels about, because all right, obviously Ravel is very important to Derby County, especially in recent weeks. He has been balling
Hmm.
for them. But Wayne Rooney could have a far more relaxed approach when it comes to, you know, having players go to their countries than, let's say, for instance, David Moyes, right? I mean, Wayne Rooney would have experienced success with his national team, and he would have experienced that pride, of playing for and representing a national team, and it still being very fresh in his mind, right? And he would, and who knows, he probably has a less authoritarian, style of you know, being a boss. So it's very subjective, and who knows the pressure that Brentford puts Ethan Pinnock under. I'm not saying they do, but we don't know. I mean, we definitely know David Moyes allegedly, really and truly does not want. I don't think anybody at West Ham, likes the fact that their only striker is coming to play World Cup qualifiers, on the other side of the world for a team that, some of them have probably never heard about in the footballing terms, right? In terms of from a footballing perspective. So it's very subjective, to be honest with you. And that's why I'm saying, like, I think it's unreasonable because we're putting the players in very uncomfortable situations at their clubs, right? I mean, we're talking about the hands that feed them. And like we have heard Andre Gray speak about this. We have heard Joel Grant was on your platform speaking about it, Krista, right? How uncomfortable it can get for a player when they're trying to go against their club's wishes to represent their country. We saw what took place with Anthony Grant, right? Couldn't buy a game after he started representing Jamaica. He was a starter up until then for Swindon, and as soon as he represented Jamaica, he couldn't buy a game. So it's I honestly, I understand where the clubs are coming from, why they don't want these players to come and play. I mean, West Ham, Mikel is their only striker. It's a crunch fixture list. They are battling on so many fronts. They have cup competitions, more than one, if I'm not mistaken. Historic Europa League campaign that they want to continue. They want to win. Battling to try and get into the Champions League. I understand why they wouldn't want to release Mikel, and it would be very, like, they would be, in their minds is like, yo, why don't them not think about FIFA rankings? Them not think about us trying to close out the campaign in a respectable manner. From their perspective, is like, yo, when the campaign done, when the now go Qatar, why you no want call the baller? Why? Make no sense to them. So again, ma, we don't want to really and truly put the players in very uncomfortable scenarios at their club that could cost them their club careers, especially for those who are not the only striker at their club, like a Mikel Antonio. Jamal Lowe is really trying to get into that Bournemouth starting team, you know. coming to play, for Jamaica might not do him any favors and might not, earn him any, you know, praise or any, validation at Bournemouth. So it's a sticky scenario.
Would they have made the same decision if it was England that gave them the call up? The reason why I'm asking is we've seen the countries that are already qualified. Think of two countries. So let's look at Hurricane and England, and let's look at Paul Pogba and France. So that's Tottenham and Manchester United. Tottenham and Manchester United are chasing a top four finish, just like Arsenal, and you can throw West Ham in there as well, fighting for a top four finish. But England, France, they played their friendlies. So essentially, this is a pointless game if people are going to look at it like that, because they don't have nothing to play for. Jamaica don't have nothing to play for. So essentially, if that's how people are going to view it, it's a pointless game. The only difference is you've got Hurricane, who is still showing up, quite similar to Mikel Antonio at West Ham. Just like West Ham and Tottenham also have something to play for this season in terms of getting that top four finish. Quite similar with France, sorry, with Paul Pogba and Manchester United. So would it have been a different outcome had it been England giving the call up?
Yeah, for sure. And honestly, many of us would probably allude to discrimination because of, I mean, the most obvious for many people would probably be race. We're a black country and those are Caucasian countries. But honestly, I think that a lot of it is also business as well, right? In terms of Manchester United understands that, you know, it's a good look for the club Manchester United when a Paul Pogba wins a World Cup with France. So when and they understand that France would need all their players on board to properly prepare for their upcoming bid to defend their World Cup title. So because it would benefit Manchester United to have France make a successful defense of their title, they wouldn't have any issues, having Paul Pogba go play for France. Where was the France game played? Was it played in Europe?
They had Ivory Coast. I think Ivory Coast was. Let's check. Where did they play? That's a very good question. Sure they played Ivory Coast. Where was that? That must have been. That looks like it was in
Because
France.
if that game would have taken place in France,
France. Yeah.
it's literally you can drive from England go France. It's not that long. It's not like Mikel Antonio who is literally crossing the world to come
I
and
think
play
I
for us.
think I agree with you, but here's where I push back. And the reason why
Mm.
I push back is because we've seen it from 98 where clubs, like I'm gonna use your word, discriminated against players against our country, obviously because they don't see it as a footballing country. And they tried to prevent players back then in the 98 World Cup cycle from joining up with the Jamaican national team, and players had to fight back. We've seen Joel Grant fight back. Now we're seeing Anthony Grant fight back. Reason why I'm bringing up those examples is essentially if the player wants to come and play for us, the player will play for us. It's as simple as that. The clubs can't get in the way of that. And the player is saying that I want to go and play for my country, the player will go and play for their country. And I like what the gaffer said, Paul Hall said, it has to be Jamaica over everything. It can't be club over country. It has to be country over club. I like that message that he's trying to influence that in and that
Is
message that he's trying to birth into the squad.
Crystal, is that practical though? When Brentford is the reason why Ethan Pinnock is living a decent standard of living, when
Well,
West
then
Ham
you
is the
well it,
reason why Mikel Antonio earns £100,000 per
not
week.
practical in what sense?
In terms of to say that all the time, every time it's gonna be Jamaica over West Ham or Jamaica versus Brentford or Jamaica over Derby, right? Is that practical from a
Yes, it
player
is.
standpoint.
And the reason why I'm saying yes, it is you should know what you're getting into when you're committing to play for a country like Jamaica or Nigeria or Ghana. You should know the mileage that you're going to rack up. You should know the ups and downs that you're going to you get yourself into. If you're not aware of it, ask yourself, ask for clarity. Ask for clarity to be put on the board. And after clarity and you sign your name to the dotted line, you show up. You show up. If you've got somebody in the biggest league like a Leon Bailey that's showing up, why can't you show up as well? Why can't you show up as well? Because that is what breeds resentment. That is what breeds resentment from the 12th man, because they would look and say,
True.
"I think you're the big I am." So actually, we
But
probably know
Crystal,
my
that's the thing. Sorry to cut you, Doka, but I
yeah.
don't think it's a player thing, to be honest with you. I think if it was up to the players, they would come and play, you know. I
Well,
don't like
that's what the
I've
gaffer was
always
saying.
I've always heard that, for instance, like Steven Gerrard
Mm-hmm.
allegedly seems to be more that's the word I'm looking for. I don't know, like my brain just tripped out a while ago. But anyway,
It's
Steven
there. I've
Gerrard
got about
seems to
5 more minutes with
be more.
you because I know you must be tired. That's why you're
No
not
man,
able
I'm
to.
cool. I'm cool. Steven Gerrard seems to be more happier, more comfortable, so to speak, with having players go on international break.
Because
Whereas,
he knows how important it is to represent his country. Likewise, if Mikel Antonio played for England, there's no way West Ham or David Moyes is telling him, "No, we need you."
true,
That's in the
true.
headlines. That's all
All
over the
right,
press.
true. And as I said, it's for multiple reasons. Like, all right, other reasons. These people are English. It gives them a sense of pride that they're players in the English national team. It makes the clubs look improve the standing of the club when their players are in big national teams, right? And it also, from a patriotic standpoint, right, they want to help to support their cause, their English cause. And one thing I think, you know what is one of the most underrated aspects of football, in my humble opinion? A lot of people don't understand the whole importance behind markets.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of Chelsea is not going to have a problem with Christian Pulisic going to play for the United States of America. That's
Mm-hmm.
one of the main reasons why they bought him. Christian
Image.
Pulisic would not have been bought by Chelsea if he was not American. Christian Pulisic did not perform up to the level, in my opinion, of the type of players that Chelsea would normally go for when he was at Dortmund. Remember in the season that Chelsea bought Pulisic, one, Sarri didn't even know about it. Sorry, literally find out, so we just buy that player here. Sorry, never know about it. Him never co-sign it. Him never that was a decision by the board. That was a business decision. One. Two, that season, Pulisic was not even starting for Dortmund game in, game out. He was not even a sure starter. There were games he would start. There was games he would bench. That's not the sort of player Chelsea would normally go for. But they still bought him. Why? They saw the potential in the player, and two, the fact of the matter is he is an American, right? You know the amount of jersey sales that would generate from a Chelsea standpoint, the amount of viewership, the increased viewership in the biggest, arguably the biggest market in the world. You know how much revenue and dollars that would put back in Chelsea's pocket? The mere fact that they have Christian Pulisic on their book. And I think that's the main reason we beat Leon Bailey, while Leon Bailey, despite doing what he did in the Bundesliga, which I think he did far better in the Bundesliga than a Christian Pulisic, but Pulisic gets a move to Chelsea. Bailey could only muster a move to Aston Villa. If Bailey was American, Brazilian, French, from a bigger market, in my humble opinion, Crystal, he wouldn't be at Villa. So I think that when it comes to markets and clubs having certain players leave to go and play for certain markets, they don't have an issue with that, because that benefits them from a financial standpoint. Whereas I mean, how many Jamaicans go and buy a Mikel Antonio jersey? I mean, even when you have increased viewership, from Jamaica, it's like a drop in the bucket, you know, compared to what they can get from other jurisdictions. Let's say, for instance, England fans watching West Ham just to see Declan Rice. That may not know if me make sense.
You are making sense. The marketing, I think we can all play a role in the marketing. So, be it the guys in the media, the guys on social media. Subsequently, we put that down to the players' management team as well, the representative, because they're the ones that should be striking the deals, the endorsement deals. That's what makes a player attractive. We can't all rest it at the doorstep of the Football Federation. But in terms of these attractive players and the marketing around them, it's actually a compliment for them to say that they are Jamaican or they represent Jamaica, because Jamaica is, as a brand, Jamaica is bigger than any one of them. Any player in that pipeline, the brand Jamaica is bigger than you. You can combine all of your profile, brand Jamaica is bigger than you. That's why I liked when Leon Bailey said, ego, that's not a thing that we need in this squad, because it's not. Jamaica is bigger than you. I don't care who you are. I don't care what club you play for. I don't care which league you're in. Brand Jamaica is bigger than you. You go anywhere in this world and mention Jamaica, people know who you're talking about. People know what you're talking about. Perhaps if you say one or two players' name in other parts of the world, they're probably scratching their heads. Therefore, brand Jamaica is bigger than you. So it should be a compliment for you to put Jamaica on your CV or for you to wear Jamaica on your back. And I think this is what the players need to understand. The only way that we're going to elevate ourselves and cause the rest of the world to respect us, and more so cause Jamaica to respect us, because there's a lot of 12 men that don't respect the men's national team. It all starts with the players as well, because sometimes they hide behind their manager, they hide behind the federation. It starts with them as well. They have to be willing to do the work. It's not just down to the federation, it's not just down to the coaching staff, and it's not just down to the 12 man to uplift them. They have to lift up themselves as well.
But you touched on a very important point, though, Crystal. When you talk about brand Jamaica,
Mm,
here's the problem now. The Jamaica Football Federation isn't properly tapping into that.
mm-hmm,
Right? Many times I see, like, which music video was I looking at recently? Like, I wasn't really watching. It's like the thumbnail on the music video. Like, I just saw in scrolling on YouTube, and I saw the thumbnail for a music video. The video had like billions of views.
mm,
And on the thumbnail, the artist was wearing a shirt with Bob Marley on it. Um, and there are so many times when you see, like, you know overseas jurisdictions where they have, like, you see whether pictures online or on television with random people just walking on the street in a Jamaica shirt, a shirt with a Jamaica flag on it, or whatever be the case. And what I'm saying is that, why does Ajax have
mm-hmm,
a
mm-hmm,
Three Little Birds jersey?
mm-hmm.
Right, I've seen a Bob Marley jersey. I think it's Bohemians or something like that. Them name in Ireland.
Yeah, I've seen what you're talking about. Yeah.
And I'm saying to myself, if the Jamaica Football Federation really, you know, taps into brand Jamaica, the popularity of brand Jamaica. If I'm telling you, if we became a successful national team in football, we could attract a lot of headlines and a
Absolutely.
lot of interest. We could be a major talking point. Just like, ESPN is constantly talking about, America and America's national team and America's players for obvious reasons. It is an American network. I'm not saying we'll get as much, you know, media attention and, as much marketing as an America or other big countries, but we could have it. If JFF really tapped into it properly, we could generate enough to be
Mm-hmm.
able to really have an impact where even numbers are concerned
Yeah.
for it to even in West Ham's for it to even be in West Ham's financial best interest to say, yo, say the amount of Mikel Antonio Jamaican Reggae Boys jerseys that are being sold across the world, you know, that just that would be in our best interest because that's one of our players on our books that is being marketed right across the world, and that could have an impact for us business wise.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I definitely don't disagree with you there. There's loads of work to be done. It's weird that they're not utilizing their um relationship with with Bob Marley, given that when you look across to their women's counterpart, the reggae girls, the Bob Marley foundation is right there in plain eyesight, working side by side with the reggae girls. So it's interesting that they've not utilized that partnership yet in any form whatsoever. Hopefully that changes as time go along, and maybe you might even see it with the new kit, because I know there's rumors that our new brand, our new kit will be manufactured by Adidas makes some amazing kits. Bob Marley and Adidas, they go hand in hand together, don't they? So maybe that's when we might see the introduction of a Bob Marley inspired kit.
We always beat the Federation, but we have to give them their props when they do pull off something miraculous.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We have to give their props because it really and truly is a good look. That it does appear as if I think the first person that broke it was Coach Minzy and Coach's desk. I've even seen it on nationwide news. So it does appear as if this is indeed a real development, and credit to them. I hope that the jerseys are more accessible, and I mean obviously Adidas is a bigger shop window than Umbro rather, you know. So hopefully, it's a lucrative deal from a brand notoriety and just a marketing of our Reggae Boys brand standpoint, and also from a financial standpoint. We beat the JFF, 90% of times because 99% of the times they deserve to get beaten. But when they do, pull off the odd good deed, I think it's important to give them their props.
Definitely. Before you go, Formula, the guys in the comment section as well. I've got another 2 more minutes of Formula. Before we go, please let me know your score prediction for tomorrow's game. Formula, how are we looking? What score prediction are we working with?
I think we can beat this team a good 2-0, I think we
So
can
deja
beat
vu.
them. Yeah, I mean, honestly, El Salvador has problems finishing, and they got a goal against us as well. We need to work on the crosses and being more organized on crosses. There is no way that El Salvador should score on us in both our games against them from crosses into the box. Like El Salvador has some tiny little central Hispanic Americans, like some tiny little people for the most part. Why are how well organized they have to be on set pieces and crosses, and how poorly organized we are on set pieces and defending set pieces and crosses for them to be able to hurt us both home and away where that is concerned. So we need to work on that. But I think that we can is you know what I forgot to check if the baller, them have a big baller in France, them have one of the best players in Concacaf on them team. He played against us in the last game, Elise, but
Oh,
in the
Michael Elise.
no, I think his name is Albert Elise or something like that.
Oh, I thought you were talking about France. Sorry, I thought you were
No
talking
man,
about
no man. Honduras,
Keith Parkley.
Honduras has a player that he played against us in when we'll beat them 2-0 in Honduras. Elise, He plays for Bordeaux in France, if I'm not mistaken. He's on loan from Boa Vista in Portugal. And he has been having a real stellar campaign in League One. So, that's a danger man for
What
them.
position does he play in?
Well, he can play through the middle or he can play out wide. When he played against us, from what I have seen so far of him for Honduras, he has played out wide for them.
Okay, well
And
let me get that up. I'll see if I can
yeah, I think. Oh, he's
I don't
Mr. J saying he's not there. I think.
yeah, because I can't see his name. Wasn't part of the starting 11.
Scroll down and look on the bench if
And I
he's
don't
there.
see him in the substitutes neither.
Yeah, he doesn't appear as well. So we have one less thing to worry about.
And if that was against Mexico, if you look at Panama, see if he was there for Panama. He wasn't, was he?
Scroll down a little bit more so we can see the bench. Yeah, it doesn't appear as if he's in it. So
Yeah,
that's
it's
a
not
big
there.
deal for us. I think they've been utilizing him to try and be a creative spark, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and not necessarily deploying him through the middle. I don't know. So it could, their campaign could have probably gone a little bit differently if they had probably, because the times that I have seen him play for them in the qualifiers, he has been stuck out wide. So he has helped them with their creativity, but obviously, if they had him playing more centrally and being more of a goal threat, you know, he could probably have helped them with their finishing problem that they have had in the qualifiers. So thank God he's not playing against us though, because he's a quality player. He is, yeah, no, he's a League One player. Let me Google the youth stats for you. I think he's on like he's on, let's see, he's on, where is stats? He's on 9 goals in 19 games for Bordeaux in League
Oof,
One.
oof. So yeah,
So that's a player balling in a top five league in Europe. And he
mm-hmm.
had good, yeah, he performed well in the Portuguese league for Boa Vista as well, right? So, and he made his name in MLS and did well, very well in the MLS for Houston as well. So
Yeah.
he's not the last, like, the scary thing about Elise is that he reminds me, he's like our version of Shamar Nicholson.
Okay, okay.
Great potential, but still a little bit raw.
Needs to be polished.
Yeah, needs a little bit of polishing. So when he's polished, I think he's like 25, 26. So when he's polished, he'll really be a scary player. He's already a scary player in Concacaf. So
Well, seems like he's got bags of potential. You heard it there, guys. My co-host, the lovely Mr. Formula Sports, he's going for a 2-0. He's going for a deja vu scoreline against Honduras tomorrow on home soil. A few of you in the comments section, Jay Russ is going for 2-1 Jamaica. Coach's desk is going for a 2-0 Jamaica. So, judging by that verdict, we should at least be scoring 2 goals tomorrow. Whether or not we can keep a clean sheet, that remains to be seen. Guys, you are an absolute superstars, you guys in the comment section. I don't know how you guys do it. Each and every live stream, you guys are here. Doesn't matter what time of day it is, you guys are always here supporting. Definitely appreciate you guys blessing me with a moment of your time. More importantly, to my co-host tonight, my special guest, Mr. Formula Sports. Thank you so much for blessing me with your time. I'm sure this won't be the last time that we link up for a little live stream.
yeah, I mean, we have big plans in our works, man, Crystal. It's just because if you notice, it's just recently me start do back videos,
Yeah,
because I was like for probably like a good 3 weeks I hadn't done a video. So I was a little bit distracted. But
I know how it gets. I definitely
we have,
know how it
we have
gets.
big
But
plans, Crystal. I mean,
I
it's just a matter of time before we link up.
100%. I know how it gets. Definitely when it comes to trying to juggle work, personal life, and creating content. That's why you guys in the comment section have to be so appreciative for content creators out there, because it's not easy. You only have to ask Formula, ask Coaches Desk, Ryan LFC, all those guys that have their steady personal life and 9 to 5. It's not easy being a content creator. And I know that you guys definitely appreciate us because you're here each and every time showing support across the board. So we definitely appreciate you all. Coach's Desk, yes, I do have work. I do have work. I'll have it in a couple of hours. Thankfully, this one I'm staying at home with this one. But the one on say Thursday morning, that's when it gets a little bit tricky for me because I actually have to place myself in the office. So I don't know how I'm going to be looking like a zombie on Thursday morning in front of my colleagues. But tonight I'm in a little bit of a better position because I'm working from home. Mr. Bolton, thank you, sir. That's a legendary name. Thank you for your support. Guys, again in the comments section. I'm gonna go get my rest, a couple of hours of rest, and then I have to get up for work and start responding to my emails and so on. I have a meeting tomorrow. I have a few meetings tomorrow as well. Well, say tomorrow, but it is um 9 minutes to 5 a.m. in the morning. So I have a few meetings in a couple of hours' time. So before I forget my manners, thank you guys again for blessing me with a moment of your time. It's been an absolute pleasure. Final words from yourself, Mr. Formula.
Yeah, man. Side I gotta get buff tomorrow, man. Big team I gotta roll out pandemic at the office, and
I'm gonna hold you to that. Definitely gonna
side
hold
I
you
got
to that.
dead, man.
What
Side I
time
got
is your
dead
watch
side.
along?
Um, I haven't set it as yet. That thanks for reminding me to I need to
No
put up that
problem.
thing. Probably match start 8 o'clock.
For you
Probably I'll,
guys, yeah.
probably I'll start the watch along 7:40, 7:30, 7:40. Yo, me no know how the man them like me see like other vloggers are like 2-3 hours before the game. Them start the watch along. Me no know how them do it. We couldn't
All I
do it.
can say is if they have a ring light, then they need to be careful because it's not easy sitting in front of a computer screen and the light from the screen and the light from the ring light. I'm sure it will do damage to our eyesight. So be careful, guys, with the number of streams and the lights that's shining in your face. And also, you have a preview today as well, tomorrow. What time's your match preview?
Today or tomorrow. It's today for me. It's today for both of us, cause it's no lie. We still no. It's tomorrow. It's today for you, but it's tomorrow for me.
See how confusing it is? Yes.
Yeah, crazy. It's gonna be in the starting from in the morning. Definitely before 12 noon. I don't think it'll be a long preview. Just probably a hour or so. Just chop up the upcoming game a little bit, and then probably 10, 11ish. I'll probably roll that up. Probably do an hour and chop it up, and then wait for the watch along to start.
There you go, guys. Note that down in your diaries. Perhaps a lunchtime view there. That will be 10 or 11 Jamaica time. So keep your eyes on the Formula Sports. Let's see. So that is, let me just write the name in the comment section for some of you guys, just in case you're wondering how that is spelled. I would definitely appreciate it if you could go over to Formula Sport and hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Just try to keep it in the community. So the name is there, guys. The Formula Sports. Do head over to his channel and hit the subscribe button and also hit the like button on his latest video and tune into that live stream tomorrow. I'm going to have to love you and leave you now, guys, because it is 6 minutes to 5 o'clock in the morning. I am absolutely tired. I'm knackered and I need to get some energy for the big final game tomorrow where pride is on the line. Thank you guys again for blessing me with a moment of your time. I'll see you tomorrow around, let's say, maybe 20 minutes before kickoff. By then, I should have enough fuel in the tank. Thank you again for blessing me with a moment of your time. Always a pleasure sitting here and talking football with you guys. On your way out, if you haven't done so already, do go ahead and hit the like button. If you're new to my channel, do go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And always take care of yourself if you're making your way home from work or wherever. I hope that you arrive home safe and sound. Until next time.
I'm John Barnes, and you're watching Talawa TV with Crystal Davis.